Okay. Hi. So let's check today JSON methods and error types as per the today's syllabus. So what JSON method is? JSON. What is JSON? JSON is like it's a JavaScript object notation. So it's basically an object. So whenever we pass any data from client side to server side, that time we have to pass as in object format. So we collect all the data in object format, like name, any form you fill up in the client side, you get the data like in name, email, phone number, passwords, all those things will be in object format, right? So that to be passed in the server side as a string format. So we have to convert that object into string while passing the data from client to server, and then again in the server we have to again convert back that string to object. So for that purpose, like sharing the data between client and server, for that purpose we use this JSON methods, that is parse and stringify. So parse in the sense it will convert JSON object string to object, and stringify converts JSON object to string. Okay, so that is the topic about. So next we are going to study error types. So there are so many error types we have gone through. Like let's suppose if you miss any syntax, if you miss defining the variables, if you try to access the variable which is not defined, so that time so many types of error you will get. If you try to use some functions to number which is eligible only for the string, so that time that type of error will come. So there are so many types of errors are there. So we'll pick some errors and we'll try to check it out that errors. Okay, so that we are going to discuss today. Okay, so next we'll go next move on to one by one. So next we can see the JSON method. So first JSON method is parse. So parse basically used for but before parse we will go for stringify. So what stringify does? So stringify is the method, is the JSON method which converts JSON object into string. So JSON, there is a difference of JSON object and normal object. Normal object can have enclosed with single quotes, or can, or it should not enclosed with quotes also as a key. But JSON, when we talk as a JSON, it always should follow some standard. Like it should be always key should be in double quotes, value should be like in double quotes, or if number is there, the number, but always key should be in double quotes. So everything should be in double quotes. Okay, so although the standards is follow, so that type of data we are trying to convert into string. So the main reason to convert into string is whenever we pass this data from client side, like from browser to the server, whenever you try to click on login button, or you try to click on register button to register the user, so that time you want to pass the data of user to the server side. So we won't pass object as it is to the server, we will convert that into string and then we'll pass to the server. So what happens in server side, again that object will be converted, that string will be converted back to the object, and again it will go for the further manipulation or further processing. So that is the reason we'll use JSON.stringify. So you can see here we have one object. This is JSON object because we have everything like proper standard format like double quotes and all, every key. Okay, so this object we can convert into string with single quote, because already double quotes has been acquired by this, so always it will enclosed by single quotes. So once we pass this object to stringify method, then it will convert into string. Okay, so this is one method we can see. And next, same string which is like JSON object string. This is a JSON object enclosed with string. So same string can be converted again back to the same normal object. That will be done by JSON.parse. So parse, what it does, it converts string object into normal JSON object. Okay, so this is done in the server side and this is done in the client side. Okay, so let's check with some examples. Okay, so let's start. So JSON.stringify will check. Okay, so let's go for obj and let's write name and qualifications. Okay, so let's convert this object. So this is the object, right? So we can access this object using obj.name if you want to access the name. If you want to access the qualification, you can just write obj.qualification. Okay, but whenever we are passing this object to server side, we have to convert into string. So in that format, what we do, we just try to convert into string. So we'll do one thing. So we'll try to do console.log and we'll just convert. So JSON.stringify. So this object will be converted into stringify. Okay, so let's check with this. So we can see now the object has converted into string. How we can get to know the object is converted? Because all are in the same color and size, right? All are in the same color. Because if the object could be there, like before this, if I'll try to print this object, you will see it's in the colored format. So first will be in the color format that shows like it's a normal object, and second is converted into a string. Okay, so this string will be passed to the server side. Okay, so this is the use of json.stringify. Next we will move on to same json.stringify. String will convert back into object again. So now what happens, I'll just try to do, I'll just copy this because this is the string. Okay, so I'll just enclosed with single quotes here. Okay, so this is the string. Now let's convert into object. So now what happens, like it's reverse process will happen. Like first this one will get print and then this one will get print. So now let's convert back into objects as you can see. So first was string as we expected. Direct we are printing the same string and then we converted into object back. So this is the basically json.parse and json.stringify. Okay, fine. So let's get back to next topic, error type. So there are so many errors types are there. So we are going to learn some of the error types which we face in our problem or examples in our programming. Okay, so first we can see it's a syntax error. So syntax error is basically this error comes when we violate the rule of JavaScript, like writing the any doubt you have, Amar? Parse, stringify and parse. See, stringify converts object into string. Now see how, I'll show you. So here same thing I was discussing, right? See, now this becomes object. Okay, this becomes object. Now if this is object, then directly we can get any value, right? Console.log obj.name. We can access that, right? Because it's an object. So if it is an object, we can access obj.name, that is Sandy. But if this is converted into a string, okay, now if I try to do obj.name, it won't accept. It's undefined. Because entirely it became string. It is not object anymore. Okay, so that is one major difference between stringify. So when we do stringify, we will converting object into string so that we can pass the data from client to server. So when we go for Node.js project, no, when we start project, that time I'll explain you how we are passing the data from taking the form data from the client and then we are passing to the server. Okay, so stringify is converting object into string and parse is converting string JSON object string into object. Okay, so now this is string, right? So if we want to parse this, like see now if you are typing obj.name, it's not happening, right? So what we do, we convert this first into object back. So to convert this, what we need json.parse. So once we do json.parse, it converts this string into back to the object. So I'll just do this and I'll try to store into one variable, that is res. Okay, now if I do res dot name, now it prints name because it has converted back to the object. So that is the difference between parse and stringify. Parse means string to object, stringify means object to string. That is the difference. Okay, fine. Okay, so error type we are going to check. So syntax error. So syntax error, as I told you, it comes whenever we violate the rule while typing error, or like some things you are not able to follow, right? So that time it converts. Like let's suppose you are violating the rule, like creating the function, you are missing something. So it's like a grammatical mistake, we can tell. So whenever we miss the grammatical mistakes while writing the code, so that time it comes the syntax error. Okay. So we can see here. So once we create an object, and let's suppose we are just without, we are not closing the string, right? We are not closing the string. Okay. Let's suppose we are missing the closing string. Now we are not closing the string. So what happens now? Now if I just clear it, and once I run, you can see it's a syntax error because we have missed string closing. So we have started string close starting with single quotes, but we have missed closing of this string. So that's why syntax error will come. Okay, so these are error. Like let's suppose if you want to do parse, but you are forgot to close this, or you are like this, you are writing, right? So this type of things you will give you the syntax error. Okay, that means you missed something to complete. Okay, see, it's telling unexpected token, comma, so there is nothing token, it needs some closing bracket. So anything if you miss, that comes as a syntax error. See? Unexpected identifier res, it's saying like what is LE, so all those things are the syntax error. Okay, so grammatical mistakes, that is syntax error. Okay, so here also you can see the example. You have created a function, but we have forgot to uh, write some open curly bracket, and we are just writing closing curly bracket. So that's why it's created the issue. Okay, so this is basically the syntax error. Next, we'll move on to reference error. So reference error is a such type of error. Let's suppose we are, without creating a variable, we are trying to access a variable. So that time it creates a reference error. Means the variable which we are looking for, that doesn't have any reference. We cannot access that. Okay, so that time it comes with the reference error. So once we go for this, so let obj we are writing, right? Let obj hello, but I'm trying to print some other variable like abc. So obj is there, but abc is not there, right? So abc, it will tell like it's a reference error. See, it says reference error, abc is not defined. So if we can't get respective definition of any variables, then that time it comes as a reference error. So this is also one type of error we can face in the JavaScript. Okay, so this is reference error. Next is type error. Type error is such error, like let's suppose if it's like a mismatch of type. Like let's suppose you are doing like some method you are applying which is not feasible to apply on that. Like in this example you can see it's an object, right? So with object we can't apply to uppercase method. To uppercase will be always applied on string, always applied on string. So we can apply to uppercase in JSON string dot name, because John is the name, it's a string, but we can't apply to uppercase directly in entire object. Okay, entire object we cannot apply to uppercase. So that type of things error will come as type error. Means we are mismatching with the type. Means whatever it has to become defined, that we are not providing. Okay, so that is type error. So we can see here, let's suppose ABC, we are trying to do something, some value we are writing. Okay, and then we are doing console.log json.parse, we are doing ABC. Let's see what is happening. So basically ABC is a string, but it is of normal string, but json.parse will convert object string, the object which is defined inside the string, that it will parse back to the object. So now we are giving the wrong value to json.parse, that is normal string, So we can see it's a syntax. Okay, maybe I think JSON is not a valid JSON, it's saying, because it is violating the rule of object, so that cannot be applied. Let's suppose we are just writing, or we are just converting into the, we are trying to do with the object. So let's try to check. So now also it's okay. Okay, let's pass to some string. Okay, uh, number. Let's pass some number and let's check what is happening, because we are trying to mismatch. So number can be converted. So let's check with some 23, and let's do it with ABC dot to uppercase. Let's check with this. So for number, it shows like type error, right? Because ABC is not a string, it's a number. So to number we can't write to uppercase, right? We can't write to uppercase because to uppercase is basically used for the string, but this is number. So any type mismatch will do. That time it's come as a type error. Okay, so this is one kinds of error we will face. Now how to capture this error? Now you understood, like whenever any errors comes, like you have 1,000 lines of code in your JavaScript, like in JS file, and you are executing that, and you are expecting answer from all the page. So whenever any error comes, then that program got execution got stops. So what happens? It's like a server got breaks. So whenever now you are running only in the one page, but when you deploy your project into the server, and sudden the server will break because of the error. So that is very like bad for the application. So we have to handle this error so that server still run, but with displaying the error message. Means server should not break once the problem arises, once the error arises. So same thing. See now what happens. Now see here, whenever we restart the, whenever we are restarting it, then what happens here? If I write here, one second, I'll just write here console dot log. I'll just write hello world just to check. So I'll just clear it and I'll print. See, so what happens? In first line there is no error, in second line there is an error. So if in second line there is an error, third line is not reachable, right? So we are not seeing the third line any messages like hello world. It should print hello world, right? Because once error comes, program will stop execution there itself. So to avoid this situation, we can mention this, we can include this code in error handling. So how we can handle this error is, we have to use try and catch block. So try and catch block. So this is basically a block where any statement which we feel like this can create an error in the future. So that type of code we have to add it into the try block. So try block. So whenever any error comes, it will be captured directly to the error message, but program will still be running. Okay, program will not break. Okay, so that time we can handle that error with try and catch block. Program won't stop execution. Okay, so we'll add it into this and we'll just try to console this error. Okay, now we'll just clear and we'll see. See, it has captured directly in the error section, right? But if any server is running in this situation, then that time the server will not stop execution. Okay, server will not stop execution, still server will run. Okay, so that time that is the way we can handle this try and catch. Okay, so using try and catch we can handle the error. Okay, so code that might throw an error, that will be included in try, and catch code that handles the error. So whenever any error comes inside the try, it will be handled in this. Okay, so that is basically handling the errors. Okay, fine. So so these all you will see more on whenever you will go to project, when we start doing the project, and when we type like asynchronous suppression, when we try to do, and that time we have to include this into try and catch block. So any errors comes, or any kind of like user input, like let's suppose user, we have to take input from the user. User can type any kind of value, right? He can type any number or a string or any kind, any type of value user can input. So based on that input, it might display the error, it might not throw the error. So that time what we do, we write that type of code inside try and catch. Okay, so this is basically used for try and error handling purpose. So whatever error we have got, all will be handled. Our program won't stop execution. Okay, server want to stop execution. So when I create a server in Node.js, when we go to Node.js project creation, and when I create a Node.js server, I'll create, and that time if any error comes, then server still will be running state. Okay, so that time you can see the proper demo of this. Okay, fine. So I think that's it for today.